I still remember the exact moment everything changed, the moment he looked at me like I was nothing and said I was poor, not angry, not emotional, just certain, like it was a fact about me, like he had already decided my worth. But what broke me even more than his words was what I saw in that moment. Someone standing close to him, too close, laughing softly at something he said. I couldn't process it. My mind refused to accept what my eyes were seeing, but I remember one feeling clearly. I felt replaced in my own life, and I didn't know it yet. But that was the moment everything started falling apart. We didn't start like this. At one point, I believed my life was stable. Not perfect, but mine. We had routines, a home, a shared life. I worked quietly every day. I handled responsibilities. I supported him in every way I could, and I trusted him completely. There were people around us too. Friends, familiar faces. One person in particular was always there. Someone I never questioned. Someone I always trusted without thinking. Because in my mind, she was part of my safe world. I told her everything. My fears, my marriage, my doubts. She knew me better than anyone else. Or so I believed. Then things started changing, slowly, almost invisibly. My husband became distant, cold. I started feeling like I was always wrong. Nothing I did was enough anymore. And then came the words I will never forget. You don't understand money. You're just poor-minded. At first, I stayed quiet. I thought it was stress, work pressure, temporary anger, but it didn't stop. It became his normal tone with me. And strangely, that same person I trusted in my life became more present than ever. Always around, always involved, always speaking on his behalf, and whenever I questioned anything, I was told I was overthinking, that nothing was wrong, so I believed it. Because sometimes, believing is easier than questioning. It started with small things. A phone turned away when I entered. Messages deleted too quickly. Conversations that stopped when I walked in. Sudden silence in rooms that were just full of laughter. And then looks, not obvious, but enough to make me uncomfortable. Still, I ignored everything because the mind protects what the heart refuses to accept. Until one day, I couldn't ignore it anymore. I came home earlier than usual. Something felt off the moment I stepped inside. The house was too quiet, too controlled, like it was hiding something. And then I heard voices from the living room, his voice, and another voice I recognized instantly, my closest friend. I stopped walking. My body went cold. I didn't understand why they were together like that. But something inside me cracked. I moved closer slowly, and I listened. What I heard wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was worse. It sounded familiar, comfortable, like two people who had been sharing moments I was never part of. And then I stepped in. They both turned toward me. And in that second, everything felt different. Not shocked, not guilty, just interrupted. And then he looked at me and said it again, calmly, like it meant nothing. You're poor, in every way that matters. I stood there frozen, trying to understand what was happening. But I didn't cry, I didn't react. I just turned around and walked away, because I still didn't know the full truth. But I felt it coming. The next morning, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me answer. It was the bank. Their tone was formal, careful. They said they had been trying to reach me regarding my private accounts. I didn't understand what they meant. I told them there must be a mistake, but they insisted I come in that same day. So I went, not knowing that my entire life was about to split in two. When I entered the bank, everything felt different. People noticed me immediately. The staff stood up, the atmosphere changed, and then the manager came out personally. He looked surprised, respectful, almost nervous, and he said something I will never forget. "Ma'am, we were expecting your representative, not you." I froze. "My representative?" He nodded and opened a file in front of me. And everything I thought I knew about my life collapsed. Accounts, investments, assets I never paid attention to. Not because I was careless, but because I never needed to. And then he said it clearly. "You are one of our most important private clients." In that moment, I realized something I had never considered before. For years, I had been living like I was ordinary, like I was dependent, like I was small, but I wasn't. I never was. That evening, everything changed. My husband found out. Not from me, from the bank. And for the first time, he had nothing to say. No arrogance, no control, just silence. And my closest friend, the person I trusted most in my life, the one I defended in my mind again and again, stopped calling me completely. And that silence told me everything I needed to know, because now I understood the truth. Not all betrayal is loud. Some of it builds slowly until it finally becomes impossible to deny. And when it does, it doesn't need revenge. It destroys itself. You didn't lose a poor woman. You lost someone you never truly understood. And I didn't lose anything at all, because I finally saw everything clearly.